DeBargeMusic.com.
This is another Honor and Glory exclusive interview.
Hey, what's up, y'all? This your boy G-Wade. This is Honor and Glory Radio. And I am so honored and so blessed and so grateful to have on the line with me someone who's been in this game for quite some time and has really just made a lot of hot music over the decades. And I'm just happy to say that I have on the line with me Miss Bunny DeBarge. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I am doing well. Thank you so much for hanging out with us on Honor and Glory Radio.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. Trust me, it's truly a pleasure. Now I know you have the book out right now, The Kept Ones, and I want to talk a little bit about that because this book, it's almost like we can call like a tell-all book. You're kind of giving the insides of what's been happening within the family, the music, just everything behind the scenes that we as the public we're not readily available or have that access to.
Right.
But before we get into all that, just for my listeners, because I have some young listeners as well, we want to bring them up to speed as to who you are and, your background. So you can share a little bit about who you are and the family that you come from.
Okay. I'm Bunny DeBarge from the group DeBarge, and I'm also the oldest in my family. The group DeBarge was out in early 80s, and we were at Motown Records.
So and a lot of hit records that came out of the DeBarge family. And you go into your book, The Kept Ones. Why the name, the title, The Kept Ones?
The book is about our childhood, and we were raised in a church, and we got outside the church and went into the world, and I feel that there was abuse in our childhood, and there was a lot of drug problems, a lot of things that happened to us in our life, and our life was destined. And that's why I call the book The Kept Ones, because God has kept us for this day, for us to walk into our destiny.
Amen. And I just recently saw, I guess a documentary. TV One was doing a special, Unsung, and your family, the DeBarge family, was featured on that piece. How did that come about, and what made you guys decide to be a part of it?
Actually, before that, I think TV One read the article that they did on us in Vibe magazine, probably a couple months before. Okay. And that kind of gave them the drive to want to do, the documentary. So it came from that.
Okay.
So we were excited about doing it because the book, it just came out. Was coming out at the time, and so I thought it was a great time, to do it, and also to have the book done so that if those that had seen the Unsung would be able to get even more into it and get the book.
Well, you came out of one of the hottest record labels, at least for the African Americans. For the black music lovers, Motown,
right.
Hitsville.
That's right. Right.
How was that experience? Being under the tutelage of Berry Gordy.
Well, we grew up with that music, the Dinah Ross and Marvin Gaye, and we went into the Commodores, Stevie Wonder. So it was exciting. My brother Bobby was the first to, into the doors of Motown out of the family. He was with Switch, and
right.
Him and Tommy, went out to California and met Jermaine Jackson, and they got a contract. So, it was like very exciting. We grew up on that music. Actually, when Jackson 5 came out and we heard them, we were like, oh my God, we can do this. So it was like a dream come true.
So, were y'all a group at that time, or y'all just were kind of like singing in the house in the shower?
No, we were a group. We started as children. My mother started us very early.
Okay.
As a group. We were called the DeBarge children, and that was the first 5 of us: me, Bobby, Tommy, Randy, and Mark. And as we grew, that group grew up, and we kind of started doing some solo things. And then, being in the church, we got out of the choir. We were in the choir, and then we got out of the choir and decided to be a family group again, and we were called God's Children of Harmony, and that consisted of me, Elle, and Randy, actually.
Okay. So, but when you guys got with Motown,
we were a group.
Y'all were a group, but they wasn't developing you guys as a gospel choir or gospel group or anything like that. You all were an R&B group.
Exactly.
Okay. So let's get into the book a little bit, because it goes deep into, you know, the family's history. Like I said, somewhat of a tell-all. And you talk about the trials, the tribulations, the obstacles that you guys face with, you know, drug addiction and you know, abuse. What made you want to put that to print?
Because we were, there was abuse, and we never dealt with it, and the drug problems, we medicated with drugs. It was something that I felt I needed to do. God dropped it in my spirit.
Uh-huh.
Also, being in the church from a child and being a backslider,
Mm-hmm.
coming back and leaving again or whatever, I felt that I was just tired, and I went to God, knowing Him for myself, and learning to depend on Him, and knowing that He was the faithful one through all the things that I went through in my life. God allowed things to happen to where I could only depend on Him. He was my mother, my father, my sister, my brother, and I trusted Him wholly to know me better than anyone in this world. So I planted a seed, and I asked God, I said, Lord, I'm going to go back into my life, my childhood, and I want to deal with all these things. And so I said, I'm going to write it down.
Okay.
Because I covered it up. So I began to write. And as I began to write, I said, okay, this could be a book. And I felt that it would be much healing for my family. Being the oldest, I was the one to tell, to know most. And I felt that my family should read it. And I also felt there were other families out there that it might be helpful to. I feel that secrets keep us sick. And I feel that if you expose Satan, he has nowhere else to go with that. And I went back, and as I began to uncover, the Lord helped me to cry my last cries, and to forgive, and to understand why and who was my enemy.